Welcome, everybody, to my Monday Night Raw reactions and analysis. Of course, this is for Monday Night Raw from February 5th, 2018. So, no housekeeping. Let's just get right into it. Starting off with Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns. It's really nice to see Bray start the show. I'm a huge fan of Bray Wyatt. I've loved everything that he's done. I know his promos can get a little repetitive, and he kind of just speaks in weird, open, meaningless metaphors sometimes, but his character, like the way he owns his character, is absolutely perfect, and we don't have enough characters like that in the WWE today. So I love when Bray Wyatt gets some face time, especially going into the Elimination Chamber, because last year we know that he won the WWE title in the Elimination Chamber, pinning both John Cena and, if my memory serves correctly, AJ Styles in the same night, which is incredible. So he is revigorating his rivalry with Roman Reigns tonight to see who can get into the Elimination Chamber this year. They had a really great match, a great match to open up Raw. I know everybody hates Roman Reigns. I'm not a fan of the guy. I definitely don't hate him as much as the majority of wrestling fans seem to, at least the majority of wrestling fans my age. I don't hate him nearly that much. I think he's a great in-ring performer. I like how he delivers a lot of his moves, but I'm definitely not a fan in general. So I was really, really rooting for Bray Wyatt going into this match. It was a great back and forth, but of course Roman Reigns wins. I'm not a fan of Roman Reigns kicking out of Sister Abigail, especially with Roman beating Bray with one spear. I know they're trying to make the spear, Roman spear specifically, to be very devastating, and I know it is. He delivers it really, really well. Hopefully he doesn't just beat Brock with one spear at WrestleMania like the rumors say. Obviously, and I know when people say that he won with one spear, obviously that's not all it took. They had a great hellacious match going back and forth. But yeah, so congrats to Roman Reigns on winning that one, being put into the Elimination Chamber. I just really, really hope he doesn't win. And then, of course, Woken Matt Hardy attacked Bray after the match. Bray obviously costing Matt his shot at the Elimination Chamber last week. I'm not really digging this rivalry too much. The Woken gimmick just really seems to be Matt Hardy laughing in a really stupid and obnoxious way. It was kind of funny at first once, but then those promos where they were just laughing back and forth between each other, they killed it in 1 week, as the WWE tends to do, totally running the gimmick into the ground. And Woken Matt Hardy is nothing like what Broken Matt Hardy was. I like that they went into the rivalry with Bray right away. It just hasn't been working out. Them laughing at each other back and forth was just not enjoyable to me at all. Maybe once for the first half of what they were doing it, but after the halfway through the first time was already too much for me. It's just a little bit too cringy, and I know the WWE just don't be that levels of cringe. Oh, by the way, the new Raw graphics and everything that they debuted last week, I'm actually a big fan of. The red and white color scheme looks really nice. The transition from everything looks really nice. The matchup screens look really well done. I think it looks more professional. It doesn't look, I know way back in the day, people really like the grittiness and the rawness of maybe the Attitude Era graphics and how everything looked back then, going into the Ruthless Aggression era. But WWE is really trying to be more sleek with their designs, especially with their new logo compared to the last WWE logo with this new one, or newer one. I know they've had it for a few years now. But they're just really going for a more sleek and professional look, I think. And I think they're really pulling it off. I've heard some criticisms of them using a Papa Roach song in 2018, which seems outdated, but Papa Roach is still going strong, and they still put out top 5 rock singles often, so I don't see any problem there. I'm not going out and buying their CDs or anything, but Papa Roach has always been a sweet spot for me over the years, so no problem, no issues there. But going back to Raw, after we have Bray Wyatt and Roman Reigns, next, with Roman Reigns, of course, winning, next we're seeing the Balor Club again going against the Revival. It's great to see the Balor Club back. I really liked Revival's promo when they came back, talking about how they're professional wrestlers, not sports entertainers, going that route. It was really cool to see that. That might just be catering a little bit too hard to the internet wrestling community, but I think they pulled it off well, and those are the two guys to do it. But it just kind of sucks that they are thrown into a rivalry with the Balor Club right away, because there's no chance of them winning that. As we've seen already, they're just getting destroyed week after week. And I cannot believe that the WWE went the Ascension route with them, where back when the Ascension debuted and they were possibly going to be really hot, then they were totally destroyed by a bunch of old legends right away. And then the Revival had to deal with the same thing at the Raw 25th anniversary, being fed to DX and Balor Club then, and just the likes of those people. So hopefully the Revival can bounce back from this. There's no shame in losing to the Balor Club at all, but hopefully they can at least look strong doing it and then have some success in the near future. So Finn Balor and Carl Anderson beating the Revival there. And then next we have some Cruiserweight action. I really like all the Cruiserweights. I think they do great stuff, and they have really, really great capabilities in the ring. But the WWE just waters it down way too much, and it's really obvious going back to looking at the matches at the Cruiserweight Classic to what they're doing now. It's just obvious that they really have to dumb down their matches, and it's a shame. I don't know why. They might just be the WWE, not the Cruiserweights themselves, but the company might just be worried that they're going to be injured or outshine the big stars, because you know that Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali can put on a 5-star like match of the year caliber match. You know that they could, but I know you can't be doing that every week, but we could definitely see something better than what we have been. Cedric Alexander's lumbar check continues to be one of the best finishers in WWE. He hit Drew Gulak with it, and it looked beautiful as always. So props to Cedric Alexander and Mustafa Ali for winning that match. And then next we had something really interesting where Kurt Angle was... Oh, and by the way, I'm not going to go segment by segment every single week I do this, but I actually thought this Raw was really good overall and had a bunch of very important segments. So that's why here I'm kind of just going throughout the entire show. Other weeks, if it's not nearly as exciting or as important feeling, then I won't do it. But going through, we're on the road to WrestleMania, Elimination Chamber is coming up. I thought this was a really solid Raw overall. So next we have Kurt Angle coming out, and he's introducing the competitors for the very first ever women's Elimination Chamber. So we're going to have Alexa Bliss, the champion, of course, going against Bayley, Mandy Rose, Mickie James, Sonya Deville, and Sasha Banks. I have no problem with this Elimination Chamber. I think that's a great lineup. Obviously, it'd be nice to see Asuka being in the first Elimination Chamber, but obviously she doesn't have to be in it. There's no reason for her to be in it since she won the Royal Rumble and she has her shot at WrestleMania. Nia Jax is left out of it, but then they gave a good reason for that, except I'm not a big fan of the idea of Nia being able to insert herself into the WrestleMania match with Asuka and Alexa Bliss, or whoever the champion may be come WrestleMania. I like the idea of them messing with it. Well, no, sorry, take that back. I don't like the idea of them messing with it because Asuka won the right at the Royal Rumble to face the champion in a one-on-one match. And I know this definitely is far from the first time that they have altered a match result, or like coming from the Royal Rumble winner. They did it with Daniel Bryan and a bunch of other matches in the past, and with Roman Reigns. But just with Asuka, it would be nice to see her in a one-on-one match at WrestleMania for the title. I'm sure she's going to beat Nia Jax anyway and have it be a one-on-one match, but just if I was Asuka, I'd have a big problem with that. Of course, she's a face for the most part, so she's not going to come up and complain, but I don't know. I'm just not a big fan of the route that they're going there. But then something really interesting happened when Alexa Bliss came out and started comparing herself with Brock Lesnar in a way, saying how Kurt Angle doesn't treat her the same way that she treats Brock Lesnar, and bringing up the women's evolution over and over and over again, which I usually don't like that the WWE keeps pounding this idea in of the women's evolution. Was the women's revolution, now it's the evolution, and they just keep branding it over and over and over again, and it kind of takes away the impact. Alexa Bliss using it here, I didn't have a bigger problem with, but it was kind of crazy to see her come out and get in Kurt Angle's face about it and like really calling him sexist with everything that's going on social media right now, especially with the Me Too movement and just all of that stuff happening. For Alexa to come out and get in his face, about this and be so upfront about it was kind of cool. Actually, I thought it was pretty cool to see. Kurt Angle had some great responses to it, bringing up how Alexa hasn't had a championship defense since October at TLC. But then, of course, she came back with, well, I don't make the matches, you do, which I thought was a great rebuttal. So they made Alexa look really strong there, even though she's obviously only doing this to try to weasel her way out of the Elimination Chamber match. So I thought Alexa did a great job in that promo, and it didn't really result in anything, but it was cool. And like, it was an obvious WWE setup where they're going to have just the crowd do the yes chant in order to get Kurt Angle to look like the good guy, to keep that match, and Alexa was looking good as a heel trying to weasel her way out of it. But it was just interesting for her to so blatantly call him sexist and try to say, like, but wait, I'm the women's champion and Brock Lesnar is the men's champion, essentially. So shouldn't we be treated the same? Why does Brock have to sit on the sidelines? She got a big pop for calling out Brock Lesnar for just sitting on the sidelines, so that was cool. But at this point, I'm kind of just talking in circles about it. So, yeah, Brock Lesnar, either lose the title or just come back. Like, be around more. Defend your title every pay-per-view. Just do it. Or leave. And then, of course, speaking of the women, we had Asuka versus Bayley in what I thought was a great match. Bayley has kind of been a sour spot on the main roster. She obviously did incredible things at NXT. She had huge potential in the WWE. I think she still does. The WWE hasn't really handled her well on the main roster. But this match was awesome. I really like how they're having Asuka go out week after week and showing why she has so much hype behind her and why they're making such a big deal out of her. She had a great match last week against Sasha Banks. She had a great match this week against Bayley. She's had great matches against Mickie James and Nia Jax. So they're not feeding the entire women's division to her, but they're letting her take out person after person, but they all are great matches and they all look strong. Sasha Banks had a great showing against her last week, so even though she lost, she still looks really strong in that sense. But Asuka is still beating these people clean over and over and over again. So she's just showing that she deserves everything that's happening so far. And while simultaneously making the entire division look strong. So then when the Elimination Chamber comes in, they're going to have hopefully a great match there, and it's hard to pick a clear-cut winner. I don't want to make a prediction yet because I might do a predictions episode or predictions video in the future, so we'll see about that. But Bayley and Asuka just had a great match here. The little back and forth between Sasha and Bayley beforehand, I know these people are in the WWE because they're great wrestlers and they are big fans, but if they could just step their acting game up, that'd be nice. That's just nitpicky, though. I know, like, there have been very few great actors in the WWE, but it's just so, especially with Bayley and Sasha in that one promo, is just so, like, obvious that they're just kind of trading lines back and forth. So, I don't know. That's just nitpicky, though. It was a great match. Bayley and Asuka did fantastic. And then the next match we had was The Miz versus Apollo Crews. And this is going back to where I was saying I thought this was a great Raw overall. And they've done a really good job of making each match seem really important, really impactful, give them something to fight over with the Elimination Chamber coming up. But I would have never guessed. Well, I would have, because I think The Miz and Apollo Crews are both great. But with how Raw has gone in the past, this seemed more like in the past, this might have seemed just like another random match on Raw, and The Miz is going to easily win, and it's just kind of going to be meaningless. But they actually put on a really, really good match. Of course, The Miz is always set for a good match in his heelish, not actually a 5-star match kind of way. And Apollo Crews is an incredible athlete that I'm a big fan of him. I wish that he could do more in the main roster, and that I think he was in NXT not nearly long enough as he should have been. He should have been able to develop his craft a little bit more there. But hopefully he becomes a really great star in the future. I think he had a great match with The Miz. I like that The Miz won. I think him being in the Elimination Chamber is good, and he brings so much prestige to the Intercontinental title, and then him wanting to chase after the Universal title is really great for him. I think I definitely don't think he's going to win the Chamber match, but I like that he's at least in it to get that shot, being in there with guys like John Cena and Elias and Braun Strowman. So While also would have been cool to see Apollo Crews in there, of course, The Miz, I think, should definitely go over him in that sense. And then next, we have our tag team title match, Seth Rollins and Jason Jordan versus The Bar. I saw some, it came out that Jason Jordan's neck injury was really serious, so I was kind of surprised to see that he was still scheduled to have his match, and I was wondering how that was going to play out. And then, of course, it finally came out on the show that Jason Jordan cannot compete. So, insert Roman Reigns, of course, because he can't just go away for a little while. I understand that he's with Seth Rollins and The Shield and all that good stuff, but he just had a crazy match with Bray Wyatt. He's just everywhere all the time. He looked fresh and ready to go. He showed a little bit of fatigue during the match, but not nearly enough as I think he should have after facing that beating from Bray Wyatt earlier. I love that Seth Rollins is using the curb stomp again, or the blackout, or whatever you want to call it. He obviously didn't hit anybody with it in this match, but he went for it. He hit Finn Balor with it. He used it at the Royal Rumble. I think he either went for it or he actually did connect with it at the Royal Rumble. So I love that they're letting him use that again, because that's hands down my favorite finisher in the WWE. Possibly my favorite finisher ever. I'm not positive about that. Easily top 5. So that's another highlight whenever I see Seth Rollins out there. Obviously, his hometown crowd of Iowa made this really important for him. And, of course, Jason Jordan still, because he can't just go away, and they're this slow heel turn that maybe not so slow. He still runs out there. It looks like he's just going to give some emotional support. And then he gets Rollins and Reigns disqualified, and the Bar leaves with their titles once again. I really love the Bar. It took Cesaro to make me like Sheamus, because I've never been a fan of Sheamus, but whatever it takes, that's fine. I really like them as a tag team. I don't see them losing the titles anytime soon. Maybe they will to Gallows and Anderson. Maybe they will to the Revival. I'm not so sure, because I don't know. Gallows and Anderson are kind of more faces now that they're with Finn Balor, and the Bar is a heel team, so that might be a good spot to do it. But I don't really have a problem with the Bar holding on to the titles for a while still. And now hopefully Seth Rollins can move on from being in tag teams and go back to a singles competition, especially with Dean Ambrose being out. I really like Seth as a singles competitor. He's still one of my favorites on the roster by far. So hopefully we have some great big things upcoming for him. I know he's not going to be in the Elimination Chamber. He's not going to be in the main event scene anytime soon, at least until maybe after WrestleMania. So I'm just very interested to see what kind of plans they have for him, because he's such a top-level star that he's not just going to go away and fade into a meaningless feud. I know you can't count on WWE for everything, but I think Seth Rollins is always a lock to at least be in something good or interesting and not terrible and stupid. So from there, I don't really feel the need to talk about Nia Jax and her squash match again. I liked her line, though. Asuka won't be the Empress of tomorrow. She'll be the Empress of yesterday. I think that was a cool line to go off of. And then Mickie James versus Sonya Deville. Mickie James had a great showing. She beat Sonya Deville clean. I don't know. I kind of wish that Sonya would have won that match, just because I think she's great, even though Mickie James is great too. Alexa Bliss then came and saved Mickie from the Absolution beatdown at the end, which was really questionable. So I'm curious to see what Alexa's motives are there. But yeah, I thought both of those you could just kind of gloss over those two matches. Nothing against like those performers. I think Mickie and Sonya and Nia Jax are all great, but it just didn't seem that important as the rest of what was going on Raw. It was definitely a breather section. Going into the main event, of course, Elias starts the whole main event with his song. He kills it. Of course, Elias continues to be one of my favorite sections of Raw. His songs are always great. The way he works the crowd is always great. He's obviously over. He gets the crowd to yell, "Walk with Elias" with him all the time, but then he can still get them to boo him with his song. So he always has the crowd in the palm of his hand. He works it perfectly. And he's great in the ring. I think Elias is awesome. And I love that he's in the chamber. I don't think he has a chance of winning, but how amazing would it be if Elias won the chamber and went on to face Brock Lesnar in the main event of WrestleMania? Again, I don't think it's going to happen, but it would be awesome. I don't even know if he would be my personal pick to win if I got to choose, but I just think it'd be great. So I like that he at least has the opportunity. And if he could somehow find a way to get his guitar in his pod with him and play it during the chamber, that would be awesome, especially knowing that he's going to be entering last in the chamber because he won his triple threat match today against against Braun Strowman and John Cena, pinning John Cena in the middle of the ring. Sure, it was after Braun Strowman running Power Slam, but it was still great to see Elias win that match. So if he could somehow get his guitar and play that during the match at Elimination Chamber, that would be awesome. The match itself was pretty good. Of course, it took John Cena and Elias to double team Strowman to get him out of there. It was great to once again see Elias smash his guitar over somebody. That will never ever get old. And he really sliced open Strowman's arm on that. I don't know if you guys caught that, but that was crazy. And then, of course, John Cena AAing Strowman onto the steps to take him out for a while. And then Elias winning was great. And then, of course, Strowman having to give the crowd exactly what they want and just running Power Slam after Power Slam after Power Slam, standing over Elias and John Cena to close the show. So I thought it was a great Raw overall. Every match felt important. Every match was great. The squash match, of course, with Nia, it was a great squash match. Like, what more can you do? If they need her to come out there and beat somebody half to death, then sure, like, it's got to happen. But I like that there's a title match. It seems like there's a title match every week. Again, I like the new graphics. Coach is really great on commentary. I don't know what the overall consensus on Coach is, but I really like him as a commentator so far. He is his voice and presence still feels professional, at least more than Booker T. I liked Booker T a little bit, but Coach just is a great addition to the show. The promos, I don't like the graphics on the promos that much, like how it just shows their name going into the graphics or going into the promo, and then on SmackDown with the terrible words just popping up, or Shinsuke having Rockstar slide across the screen. It looks like a 6th grade PowerPoint presentation that I would have made when I was in middle school. So I really don't like that. I hope it's just experimental and then they get rid of it. But overall, I love what they're doing with the show, with the brand. Great matches, great promos for the most part, meaningful everything, and I'm gonna stop repeating myself now. So thank you guys very much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you thought. Let me know what your predictions are for Elimination Chamber. If these start going well, then I will definitely do a predictions episode and tell you guys who I think is gonna win and why. So thank you very much. Please subscribe for more videos like this one, and until next time, I'm out.